All right.
What do you say?
I'm just hitting the record button. So what's up, host? We're
What's
gonna
up?
be talking about some random shit. We got Mitch over in the top left. We got Kevin looking like a pro gamer, little fun boy of
Oh
ninja.
yeah.
And then we
Pro
got
Tour Kevin.
Rob, a delusional Giants fan who just can't seem to get over 10 years ago.
My Eli Manning jersey has a Hall of Fame patch.
He's not even there yet, and we
It's
don't know
called
if we're gonna
foreshadowing.
get. Oh, yeah. That's why it was
Did
at
you?
people.
Yeah. Did you have to
were
stitch that in yourself?
Found it.
It's like
No,
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 I just went to
off
Staples
Etsy.
and Hobby Lobby and joined Fabrics and just ironed this bitch out.
Yeah. All right.
What's
So
he
we
got,
got our
2 more
first
years left till
question
he's gonna
of
be
the
eligible?
day. Go ahead, Rob.
I think Eli's got 2 years left till he's eligible.
Two.
We'll see.
It's going to be like a Trump presidency. It's going to last way longer than I think it's going to. All right.
Yeah.
So we got 3 questions we're going to be talking about today. First one of the day is, if you were the Ravens, would you trade Lamar Jackson to the Jets for, which is probably going to be the first overall pick, and as the Ravens also receive a first-round pick next year from the Jets? So that's 2 first-round picks, and most likely that first one next year is probably going to be a high pick because the Jets are shit. So going to the resident Jets fan and Suicide Watch attendee, we're going to go to Mitch.
See, the way the question's posed is this: if you're the Ravens, would you do it? So if I was the Ravens, I would do it, and here's why. And it's going to upset a shit ton of fans, but that is what it is. So he's got 2 years left remaining on his contract, including the 5th-year option. So his first year, or his next or current year's salary, is $3 million cap hit. Then they're going to take the 5th-year option, which basically averages the 3rd to the 22nd quarterbacks. So most likely it'll probably be around like somewhere between 15 to 20. So you have him for 2 years locked down before you have to give him a mega contract, which he'll probably get like $45 million a year, something like that. So you basically have them locked down for 2 years for about less than, like maybe like 20 to $25 million, which is not terrible. But at their point of their, franchise, they have a lot of good young guys. They just paid their left tackle. They have,
A lot?
they have 2 cornerbacks who are elite and young.
Okay, all right.
They're going to need some contracts. They have a lot of aging veterans. Like, they're obviously in a win now mode. But I think if we look at Joe Burrow's cap, so Joe Burrow, I think it was like $36.5 million or whatever. So I'm using his contract for reference for what Trevor Lawrence's would be, give or take a couple like $1 million or whatever.
Sure.
So his first year is $6.5 million. Second year is 8.2. His next year is 9.8. Then his next year is 11.5. So you figure that's pretty much close to your 5th year. It's getting closer to your 5th year options as you kind of go up, but everything's going to go up. So the only thing I can base off Lamar Jackson is Cam Newton, because Cam Newton was an MVP in 2015, and they had to give him a new contract right after that MVP season. And when they did that, he got paid as a top 3 quarterback in the league. Since then, they had 1 winning record over the next 4 years while he was making a ton of money. Top three in the league, I think, behind Rodgers and Roethlisberger. So then, if you're making top 3, you made the playoffs 1 year. You had 3 seasons of losing records where you weren't even competitive in your division, really. And then in that process, you get to the playoffs that 1 year, you get knocked out in the wild card. They were 11-5 and got knocked out of the wild card. And if you're a running quarterback, you're only going to get worse over time. Whereas Trevor Lawrence is slightly more of a dual threat, but he's kind of more in an Andrew Luck role. So I would personally do it because I think Lawrence is a generational talent, similar to a Luck or Peyton. And you want the contract going forward. If I was the Jets, I wouldn't accept that offer because there's too much to build around where you can't do a complete rebuild. If you have like, I don't know, a couple $100 million allotted to a quarterback, you're only going to get to maybe like 6 wins. You can't fill all the holes. The Jets have too many holes. So that's where I'd view it.
Well, I mean, we'll go to Kevin in a second, but I mean, the Jets did
I
spend.
think Rob's waiting.
We'll go to Rob then. But
Rob is
I mean, the Jets just spent $100 million on two players that never saw the field in the past 2 years, so they're not great with their money. Let's go over to Rob.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence is not a generational talent. That's just like nonsense. I mean, that's like the craziest fucking thing I think I've ever heard. To put him in the Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning tier,
Yep.
that's like
I
nonsense.
love all the
That's like
faces going on here.
La La Land. Like, Trevor Lawrence is good on an unbelievably talented team. He feels to me like a good quarterback from Alabama. When you have the best defense, the best wide receivers, the best running backs, the best O-line, literally I wish I could say his name, but the kid that just replaced him for the last 2 games due to COVID, which I think we should really monitor with Trevor Lawrence as well. Because this isn't a COVID debate, but the consequences on COVID aren't death or being fine. It impacts your lungs. You lose lung capability for the rest of your life. It takes long tolls on your body. So I got to see Trevor Lawrence come back first. I mean, they just lost to Notre Dame this weekend in the double overtime. Literally yesterday, they lost to Notre Dame in double overtime, which, sure, they don't lose with Trevor Lawrence, but it's that kid's second start, and it's a good Notre Dame this year. I can't say I've watched too much college football because I don't like the idea of these kids not being paid while being at risk to contract COVID and ruin their opportunity to get paid.
Yep.
I mean, if Trevor Lawrence comes back and he doesn't look like bullets, COVID cost him how much money? How much money? You know?
True.
So that's a side tangent there, but I don't think Lawrence is a generational talent. I do think it's not a bad idea to trade Lamar Jackson because I agree with you, especially using Cam Newton, or we can look at other successful scramblers like Michael Vick, who got paid a lot of money and never had back-to-back winning seasons. Lamar Jackson this year, at this point, is straight regression. He is not as good as he was last year by a noticeable amount. Can he bounce back next year? Can he get together in the playoffs? Who knows what's going to happen there? But unless your name is Patrick Mahomes, you shouldn't be paid $400 million or $40 million a year, which is going to be what Lamar gets, $40 million a year, or just shy. Deshaun Watson just got it, so Lamar's got a much better claim than he does, and I don't think paying Deshaun that much is the best idea in the world. But that is kind of my take on all that.
I think it's brought up some good points. Let's see what Kevin has to say here.
Actually, I agree with Rob. I kind of watching Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson in the pocket when they're under distress. They both do the same thing in the aspect where they don't look down the field. They just decide to run. And I don't like that trait in a quarterback. And so what I'm thinking is I think it's good for the Ravens to trade and get Trevor Lawrence. Again, I don't know a ton about college football, but I know that the Ravens lost Marshall Yanda due to retirement last year, and that's an essential guard to have. So there are a few guards coming out of the draft this year that look really promising. So if you get someone like Trevor Lawrence and then some of the guards in the draft this year, and then you have a first-round pick next year, I think that's pretty good. Plus, you get to save some time on not spending a hell of a lot of money on a quarterback like you would with Lamar.
Perfect. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you already mentioned is stuff that I'm hitting on here. I'm under the side that I would trade Lamar Jackson just because of the fact that, like, whatever you're lacking in terms of a lot of things I was mentioning was going to be about Cam Newton, which Mitch had already covered. We haven't talked about any of this stuff ahead of time. But, he got that 5-year, 103, never really lived up to it. Injury concerns. You look at the running style quarterback, that second-year contract that they get, because the team's going to franchise that tag, fifth-year option, all that other stuff. By the time they get there, their shelf life's going to be limited. Injuries happen. And he's not shown that he's going to be a competent passer. At least I know I'm getting less of a running upside, obviously, with the Lawrence, but I'm getting a much more consistent passer. We don't know what it's like at the next level, but it's got to be better than Lamar Jackson. And Trevor Lawrence has got all the stuff that all the GMs like. He's been, for the guys who aren't good GMs, He's 6'6" and white. So
That's it.
that's the Mitch, the Christian Ponders of the world. That gets the
The Blaine Gabberts, the
Blaine
Ryan
Gabberts,
Tannehills,
exactly.
the
And for anyone with
Like
half a
Glenn.
brain, he's actually athletic and can actually do some different
He
things.
looks like Blaine Gabbert.
He
Kinda
does
does.
look like Blaine Gabbert.
No, he's sunshine from Remember the Titans. It's just what it is.
So the only thing I'd hit on is that we all are basically mitigating risk on Lamar Jackson and for the Ravens. Like,
and Lamar looks low right now.
Yeah.
It.
my concern, okay, if we're the Ravens, okay, let's say he continues this out and we're the Ravens and we're getting into the offseason and he plays inconsistent. You can kind of haggle him down so it might be cheaper. Maybe he's not $40 million a year. He's going to believe in himself and it's fine. But you can maybe pose the argument that they built up okay, if you could get him for, I don't know, 38 and save $12 million, would you
He's
do
not
it?
gonna-
Would
the team
you
won't
change
do
He's not going to do it. It's just not going to happen.
There's too much
He's
hype
an
around
MVP.
him.
He's the best. He's
Yeah.
one of the most exciting
He
players.
was
in
on
the
Madden.
If you play low ball with him, the team will flip.
Yeah.
So the one thing I would add to it is the teams mentioned matters. Thing. Lamar Jackson going to New York puts him in a very familiar role. The New York sports savior that gets grossly overpaid. Giancarlo Stanton, Alex Rodriguez, Carmelo Anthony. That is not an enviable spot to be in. What it will do, though, is people will start watching Jets games again, regardless. I mean, whether he's good or bad, he's the most exciting. Behind Mahomes, he's the most exciting quarterback to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But besides those two, it's not even close right now. They're just on another level.
Maybe.
So you're going to sell tickets. You're going to sell jerseys. You're going to sneak your way into the playoffs, right? The AFC East is down, and I'll tell you, he's definitely good enough to bring that team to 7-9 on his own. You put some guys here. You fire Adam Gase. I mean, Adam Gase has to be gone in all successful scenarios.
Yeah.
Like that has to be where it starts. But Harbaugh can live without Lamar. I don't think he wants to. I think he loves that kid. I really think he does. And it's a bit of Moneyball. They got him with the last pick in the first round. They didn't have to mortgage their franchise for him. And then they built around him. The same way they built around Joe Flacco. They added Torrey Smith. They added these receivers, and they played right to Joe Flacco's strength. And he did it with Lamar. And I think he'll do it with whatever quarterback he drafts next. I don't think they need to commit a number 1 overall pick to someone like Trevor Lawrence, who I think is fine. I mean, he's a big-time college quarterback. To me, I don't know. I don't see him as this great blonde savior of any franchise. I really don't.
Okay, that's fair. I was just posing that we just, all 4 of us agreed, but I don't think it's a slam dunk or an easy decision. So that's just what I was.
Now, Mitch, from the Jets angle, I know you said that you wouldn't want to do this trade, but what if we threw in the fact that Adam Gase would be gone?
Oh, that's tempting. That's tempting.
Give up his first overall pick, 101, to get rid of Adam Gase. I'm sure.
Another good point, though, as to why the Jets should do it. If they trade away 2 first-round picks, that's 2 first-round busts they're not going to have on their records.
Great point.
2 less defensive tackles will draft, so I'm good with that.
All right.
And one last point, while on the topic of Lamar and just superstar quarterbacks moving, it never happens. A superstar quarterback, the biggest contract a quarterback has ever been given on a new team was given to Jimmy Garoppolo by the 49ers at 5 years, $125 million, ever. And I know there's inflation and all that, but that's even still like they definitely overpaid. You could teach most competent rookies how to run that offense. Trevor Lawrence, I think, would have been a great fit on a 49ers team.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that's the easiest job to quarterback right now in the NFL.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the last point on that.
So we have our next question. It's election season. We got Biden in.
It's over.
Season as in like it happened. Kind of like, kind of go out with a Super Bowl and we retire. This is how it feels.
I just don't say it's football season the day after the Super Bowl.
Very good point.
Yeah, you got a point.
I flipped on it.
So our question is, which NFL player, past or present, best represents each candidate? So we'll talk about each one. We're not going to – do you guys think we should go all Trump, all Biden, or –
I think we should go like all Trump, all Biden.
all Trump, all Biden? All right, we'll start with Trump. Who wants to go first with this one? You know what? I'll go first because I fucking didn't go first on the last time.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. So again, we didn't talk about any of these. We may have talked a little bit about it. You weren't there, Mitch, because you were just doing other stuff. But so my Trump is Johnny Manziel, and here's why. Household name, big, everyone knows him, Johnny Football, all that kind of stuff. Despite some success in the college and little, not really anything in the NFL, struggled with consistencies and was just not necessarily what you needed, overshadowed with off the field issues of him partying too much, drug problems, probably some sexual assault here and there. There was the one that he got released.
Allegedly, you have to throw in allegedly.
Fine, allegedly. He's a changed man, I'm sure now at this point. But prior to the 2014 draft, scouts were completely split on this guy. One scout said people were saying he's either undraftable because of the off-the-field things, or he's just a rare competitor, which they just tell, like, the scrappy white dude. And then you just have NFL coaches and people being like, someone actually said, Coach Barry Switzer said, I don't like his antics. I think he's an arrogant little prick. I've said that, and I'll say it again. This is before the draft, before how he actually played.
Mm-hmm.
So then his career was up and down, didn't really do too much. And how he got all that, mostly down. He threw every jump ball to Mike Evans.
What was the up?
The up was college.
It was him in college throwing every ball to Mike Evans, who was a fucking god. So then even Drew Rosenhaus, who was his who represented him as his agent, fired him.
Yeah.
In Rosenhaus's 27-year career, he had never fired anyone.
That's very Trumpian. That's like the most Trump thing that can happen to a player.
Yeah. So he says all the star power, the name, all that stuff, but generally derailed by off the field stuff and personal conflict. So that's where I'm going with Johnny Manziel for Trump. So we'll go work backwards. We'll go Rob. Kevin, right? Yeah. Kevin, Rob, Mitch.
Yeah, that's fine.
Reverse order, snake order.
So I chose Ben Roethlisberger. He's had 2 sexual accusations against him, and one article actually found, which I thought was very eerie, was from Stormy Daniels, saying in her new tell-all book, she was terrified by Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger after Donald Trump introduced the two at a nightclub in 2006.
Whoa. They're Eskimo brothers? Ben Roethlisberger and Donald Trump are Eskimo brothers?
They might be.
That is a
like,
beautiful quote. That is.
I love the research.
I thought that was
wow.
And there was also 2 settlements to both of the sexual accusations. He's good. He's good at settling.
Well,
like big titty
and
porn stars.
He terrified Stormy Daniels.
Okay.
Wait, what?
They're both like they're big titty porn stars, I guess.
Yeah,
wow.
I guess so.
All right. So
all right, Rob. I don't know how you can top that.
I got nothing. Oh my God. Trump to me is Brett Favre. He doesn't think, there's no thought process, there's nothing at the line. It's, I feel this way. I'm going to do this. Donald Driver, you're my guy this play. Be ready, Donald Driver. Donald Driver's got the best hands in the league. I'll show you. Brett Favre didn't learn what the nickel defense was until his second year as a pro. That's not because nobody taught him. It's because he's incapable of fucking learning. A nickel defense means instead of 4 defensive backs, there's 5. For anyone who doesn't know, the same amount as a nickel. It's so fucking easy to grasp. You think starting in college for 4 years, your entire life, you would just fucking know it. By the time he got drafted, he should have known it. But he didn't, and he learned it. Not because no one taught him, because he didn't fucking care, just like Donald Trump.
Okay.
Well, so we're going over to Mitch.
And that one, what he sent that picture to the Jets person. Yeah, his dick.
You're
right.
I probably should have made note on that a little bit, but man. I mean, you nailed on their sexual
Smith up there too.
Geno Smith, yeah. Oh, you see the video, the report about the Jets having cameras in their locker room since 2008?
Yep.
So there's footage of Geno Smith getting his jaw broken.
I
if
want
there
it.
is, I want it. I
TMZ.
want it in my
Work on
background.
that shit. All right, Mitch, who's your Trump?
I put Trump as Odell Beckham Jr. And here's why.
Like,
Because they both made their names in New York, had a big reputation. They got into a separate job, and in their separate job, pretty early on, they were, you know, sometimes successful, but not really overly successful. They both had videos of bodily functions and rumors about those allegedly, with Odell Beckham Jr. with that one woman with poop, and then Donald Trump with the P tapes. So
Donald Trump has P tapes?
I did not know that.
no one knew about that.
No.
It was like
No.
it was like no. There was like
How far did you dig for this?
no like
Are you spreading that liberal agenda?
because of those tapes. They're both probably suited for better jobs, but they're kind of just in a role that doesn't necessarily make them better at anything. Like Odell Beckham Jr. would be better at another team. Donald Trump would be better as a businessman or whatever, not necessarily. Okay, I'm not. He's okay. Is
He's
he
got to be better. He's got to be better in another role.
All right. He would be better not president. Fair.
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Fair.
So Trump is my Odell Beckham Jr. Odell Beckham Jr. is my Trump.
All right.
So then I guess we'll snake back.
Yep.
But so Biden is Josh McCown, and here's why. He's a journeyman in the NFL, so he's been around politics, he's been around all that stuff, but he's always been seen more as a backup, as why his VP nomination and all that stuff. When thrust into action, he's capable of getting the job done, but he's more expected you not to lose anything than he is to win anything. He's a safe option. He's not exciting. He's not like a rookie backup that you can kind of get in there. Can he win a game if you need him to? Yes, as we saw. But like, is he at all exciting? No. And they're also old as fuck. So that's my pick.
Nice. All right, we'll go over back to Rob for your Biden take.
I was happy with this one. I really was. Joe Biden is Jason Witten. Jason Witten had a 16-year career where he was never the best tight end. Shockey overshadowed him in the NFC East when they both came in. Antonio Gates was always the guy over him. Tony Gonzalez, Rob Gronkowski. But Jason Witten was always good. He was always good. I mean, he was never the guy, but he was always good. He was making plays just like you were saying. He was trustworthy, dependable. If you watch the NFC East, which I do, it was always Jason Witten on third down. It just didn't matter. It was just Jason Witten. He never got the game-winning touchdown, but he always got the drive-extending conversion every time. And being a 16-year Cowboy is just like being a lifelong politician. It's the same shit to me.
Yep.
Like, if Jason Witten somehow won the Super Bowl at the end of his career, which not on the Cowboys, hope maybe a different team, then I think they'd be the literal exact same person.
Yep.
That's perfect. That's a great one. All right, we're going over to Kevin.
That's
Kevin,
tough.
who is your Joe Biden?
Well, I kind of had a similar idea to Mitch, and I was a toss-up between Kirk Cousins and Ryan Fitzpatrick, but I think I'm going to go Fitzpatrick because, like Mitch said, he's a journeyman. He's been on a bunch of different teams. I know, like, Biden is good at working with all different types of people. And also the shades. I mean, it's pretty much the same shit. Fitzpatrick wears shades, Biden wears shades. Like, that's perfect. And old as fuck, but can still win a game.
Although, big difference between the two.
Mm-hmm.
Harvard, Fitzpatrick actually went to an Ivy League school.
Yeah. No, it was tough because I was looking for a player who had a slight anger problem too, but I couldn't really think of another one.
And you already used Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to.
The only
non-rapey Ben Roethlisberger.
I love
well, that's why I was thinking like Kirk Cousins too, because like he gets a little like fired up too. He's not the best quarterback,
like that,
but he's been in there for a while. You like that?
Yeah.
Like, yes, you beat the shitty Buccaneers. Good job.
Yep. Oh, all right. So
that was against the Bucs.
Biden.
I think that was against the Bucs.
Mitch will agree with this one. Is Mark Sanchez?
Okay.
drafted to be the savior of New York. And New York, I just consider to be like I'm going to say the savior of the United States. Even though he was a backup VP for USC for 2 out of the 3 years he was there, he couldn't beat out, who was that? John, I don't know, Booty something Jones or whatever the fuck his name is. He was some random fucking guy.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
An average, USC quarterback.
So you're saying John Booty Jones? Are you talking about the butt that Mark Sanchez ran into?
Pretty much, yeah.
He was behind John Booty Jones. That's
why he ran into him. He's like, "Hey, friend, I haven't seen you in a while." So he had one good year at USC, but he's a recognizable guy. He had the look and everything you kind of needed. The Jets had success the first couple of years and made the AFC Championship, but none of that was really caused by Sanchez. The Jets defense in the run game, where they had an old LT and Sean Green, played the role of the guys kind of holding up Bernie from Weekend of Bernie's, and Sanchez was the guy for there, which is the Democratic Party just kind of keeping up Biden. It's just show up. We know you. You're familiar. You're tied with Obama. You're okay. You're good. Biden is the most exciting candidate, but when you suffer through the corpse of Brett Favre and Kellen Clemens for a couple of years, Sanchez looks like the thing the Jets haven't had in forever, which is hope. So
I just feel like you need someone with a longer career to be Joe Biden. Sanchez played 5 years of meaningful football.
Well, if you talk to any Jets fan, it seems long enough. It's at Sands time. You're just gonna stuck in the twilight zone. It's Groundhog's Day of just waking up every Sunday. We're gonna do it this year. No,
we're gonna do it. This year we're gonna beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. This is the year.
No, the thing is they'll beat the Patriots in the round before, and then they're that's their Super Bowl, and then they just lose to the Colts or whatever the fuck the team is next.
They had them in both games. The first game against the Colts, they played fantastic in the first half, and then they blew it. And apparently,
you can't stop Peyton.
So
two hands.
I learned this. So the I think it's Bob Moore, the Patriots or the Colts
Bob Sanders?
No.
Oh no.
Whatever the
Bob
coordinator
Sanders
for that game. So Rex Ryan did all the film study, all the work to try to go and understand Peyton Manning and get him dialed in. The second half, Peyton Manning called all the plays. He called every play himself, and then Rex Ryan's how the fuck can we not stop him? So then Rex Ryan still because I think it was Bob Moore. Bob Moore went to the Jets, I think in 2011, and was an assistant to bring up, maybe vamp the offense up. And he asked them hey, Art, what happened in that game? And he's Peyton called all. He's I fucking knew it,
He was the best. He's fearless.
Yeah.
The Jets have a history of just drafting people who are associated with Peyton, or getting people who are associated with Peyton Manning, Bob Moore, Adam Gase, and just hoping that magic rubs off on them and you're all right.
It's still because that Peyton Manning went back to school for that 1 year extra, so he didn't have to go on the Jets, so that the Jets are still sucking off Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Could you imagine if we had the Jets versus the Patriots, Peyton Manning versus the Patriots 2 times a year, every year? I mean, those were the best games I ever watched. Was the Patriots versus the Colts. Nothing to do with the Jets and the Patriots.
Yeah.
But, man, Belichick, Peyton Manning twice a year, 3 times probably a lot this season. That would have been nuts.
Yeah.
All right. So we have one real question and then one stupid question we're going to get into at the end of the one. And this question is, if you could randomly take an ex-Hall of Fame player and put them on any current NFL team, who would you choose and for what team? So I picked Dan Marino on the Atlanta Falcons. I know.
That's not even that much better.
It isn't. It isn't. But
he's not going to win them a Super Bowl. You picked the one guy who can't close the big game.
I know it's not. But Dan Marino, in his only second NFL season, threw for 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns.
Okay, we don't need to go how good Dan Marino is. We understand he's good.
That's fine. But I'm putting him on there because I want to see what he does with Julio, Ridley, and that offense. I know he's essentially Matt Ryan. I get it. But I want to see him because He's throwing for all these yards in a league where like the DBs are like holding receivers up at gunpoint, robbing them, mugging them, and then like do nothing. With Julio and Ridley, like I was looking at putting him on the. I needed to put him on a team with actually good receivers, and I was going to put him on Cleveland. I was going to put him on Denver, but Sutton's out and OBJ's out.
Okay, I'm jumping ahead because I'm gonna change it around. I did pick Dan Marino, but I put him on the Cowboys because it's a better.
You picked Marino too? No, you didn't.
I picked Marino, but I'm changing it. I'm gonna change it.
No. I put him on the Cowboys. I literally have a note where I put him on the Cowboys, and I'm like, I can't fathom watching the Eagles fuck up multiple.
No, put your fandom out.
Personally, I couldn't.
Mason over here.
The Cowboys would be a much better fit than the.
I know Gallup, Cooper,
Gallup,
everyone. Zeke,
CeeDee Lamb, and Zeke with a good offensive line.
Yeah.
Although I'll tell you. Now we're assuming, is Dak injured in the scenario?
Yes.
Like we're real
No,
time.
it's where your current NFL season is. That's why I couldn't pick like a Sutton. I wanted to put him on the Broncos, to be honest. But
okay,
so, yeah, no, I'm not 100% happy with it, but I think he would have thrived and he wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. But I would like to see him with at least 2 solid receivers, and I'll see how many yards he's going to get. He probably won't make it. He'll maybe get a wild card in, but I'd like to see him outduel probably guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees in that division. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Potential Hall of Famers going up against Hall of Famers in divisional games, because I think that's going to – that's where I want
a lot of fun to watch. That Bucks Falcons game would be big time.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going with Kevin next, right?
Sure. So I did not choose Dan Marino. I actually – so I thought about this question a little bit differently, and maybe it's just the fact that I don't like Antonio Brown, but I would love Randy Moss on the Bucks with Tom Brady. So we got 2 deep breaths, two deep threats.
You've already seen it.
Two
we've seen
deep breaths.
It was pretty good, and it worked.
No. Think of Randy Moss and Mike Evans on both sides, and then you have Godwin in the slot.
And Antonio Brown and Rob Gronkowski.
No, I don't want Antonio Brown.
Miller. Or Scotty Miller has a family.
Scotty Miller would still get like 5 catches a game.
He would still get targets.
He's your leading receiver. Everyone talks about everyone else. Scotty Miller's still the
because Mike Evans and Chris Godwin have been injured constantly.
Scotty Miller shows up for work every day, just like the king.
No. I so want to bring up the fact that you pretty much made the same argument for Jason Witten to Eli Manning, and Mitch was feeling me. I know he was, but we're not going to go into that.
No, I would never call Joe Biden Eli Manning. Eli Manning had way more success.
Listen, I asked this question to people at work, and a lot of people said Eli Manning. Just saying.
Wow.
All right. Rob, who do you want to pick?
So, oh, man, I misunderstood the question at first. I thought we had to take a player from the same franchise and put him on the team. So upon picking my player, I did research on who I would actually just pick given anybody. But my first thought was Sean, because I love scoring. I need a 100-point Super Bowl in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But Sean Alexander on the Seattle Seahawks right now. The dude was insane. We forget about how amazing he was.
Is he a Hall of Famer, though?
See, that's what tripped me up.
Sean Alexander?
Yeah.
He's not a Hall
in 3 years, in 3 seasons, from 03 to 06, compared to LaDainian Tomlinson, who would now be my new pick. If I could choose anybody from anywhere to put on a team, I would put LaDainian Tomlinson on the Seahawks, because I want to see the Chiefs versus the Seahawks, and I want to see who can score 100 points first.
Mm-hmm.
If you put DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, and LaDainian Tomlinson, so in those 3 years, Alexander had 5,011 yards and 57 touchdowns and 543 receiving yards with 7 in the air. That's 64 fucking touchdowns in 3 seasons. Now, LT was amazing pretty much his entire career, always. And the stats I'm pulling from are right before his 07 season when he broke the single-season touchdown record and put up 32 because he was unfucking stoppable. Mm-hmm. But he had 4,000 in that same time as Alexander. Alexander outrushed him by 600 yards. He under-received him by 900 yards and put up 9 more touchdowns than him. So, I mean, obviously, if you take the given anybody, I'm putting LT on the team. But I thought Sean Alexander would have been a perfect fit for this Seahawks team that wants to run the ball, that wants to score. I mean, if you can just put LaDainian Tomlinson in there, put him in the backfield, dump it to him, breed option, DK Metcalf. I mean, it'd be silly. It would really be unstoppable.
Yeah.
What do you
So I did pick Dan Marino for the Cowboys, but I'll change it because I had the exact same argument as you did, where like this the matchups would be pay-per-view in the playoffs. Like,
How are you both picking these Super Bowl like deprived franchises and giving them the biggest Super Bowl like?
because he'd be much better. He'd be like
The Dolphins were good.
they weren't offensively as stacked as the Cowboys.
I just love how
They had Hall of Famers.
They had Hall of Famers.
Both of our conversations, Mitch and I, we haven't talked about this ahead of time. We both brought up Cam Newton for our Lamar Jackson trades. And out of the 4 questions, we also brought up Dan Marino to a team that needed weapons.
Okay. So I'm not going to pick Dan Marino. My other backup was I'd like to see Ed Reed on the Seahawks, because if you have somebody who can roam the field and cover that amount of ground, but then move Jamal Adams closer to the line of scrimmage, that would be fantastic. They have, I think, Shaquille Griffin or whatever. So a pretty good corner already. Like they're and Bobby Wagner. If you can get Bobby Wagner covering the middle and then Jamal Adams covering that right side, you have it all locked down, and it'll allow Russell Wilson to just the offense is clicking. Like it's unreal. So if you built that up and then just put a defense that could kind of contain everything, it would be elite. So I thought that'd be fantastic. My other, I'm just going to read off some options. One I had considered, but I didn't pick, whatever. My other 2 options I had was putting LT on the Ravens, because a read option with Lamar Jackson and LaDainian Tomlinson would be fantastic.
Yep.
And the other option I think I had was to put – he's not a Hall of Famer yet, but like put Revis on the Rams. So you have Ramsey and Revis just locking down wide receivers. Whoever you're playing.
Donald just eating people.
Yeah.
Donald just
if you put them
people.
both in a press coverage, Donald would get in the backfield before they get past 10 yards. It would be disgusting. So those would be my options.
So do the Rams have do they Rams run a 3-4 or 4-3?
4-3.
I believe they run a 4-3.
Now I'm thinking, like, imagine like a Warren Sapp and Aaron Donalds on the same like D line.
Yeah, I mean, my original thought before I realized Seattle, I thought that Seattle ran a 3-4, but they changed to a 4-3. Was to put Patrick Willis next to Bobby Wagner.
I like that Reed Jamal Adams duo, though. I mean, you're forcing so many turnovers for that offense. I mean, if you're going over the middle, you're dead. I mean, like, if they're facing the Bucs in the playoffs and Scotty Miller's, he's creeping. I mean, he's just going to die. He'll be exploded in half, like not another teen movie style.
Austin Collie
out
for a while, kind of concussion moment there.
Yeah.
Rob, did anyone else have any ones that they wanted to talk about? I had one that I wanted was that I wrote out before I switched to Marino, which I probably should have kept, was I wanted Jim Brown on the 49ers. Anyone who knows me knows I love a good running team. Kyle Shanahan has succeeded with a bunch of late round guys. Steve Slayton had 1,300 yards or something like that when he was the Texans offensive coordinator. Gotta love Steve Slayton.
West Virginia.
Alfred Morris ran for 1,460 yards or something like that when he was on the football team. It's then. But then, he's done it with a bunch of these guys. Raheem Mostert had 200 yards and 4 touchdowns against the Packers in the NFC Championship game. So, I mean,
Can't stop anybody on the ground. Though.
Yeah, but like, these are guys that are getting pulled off the street. It's essentially what Tom Brady does to like receivers. This is what he does to running backs. So I'm like, let me get one of the best runners. And I was like, oh, okay, running that, inside zone, outside zone running scheme, and just knowing that they have no receivers, no quarterback play. Just it's like, this is what we're going to do, and I'd love to see you try to stop it. So that was one. And then I wanted to put Barry Sanders on the Chiefs because I would have – because the shiftiness, you already got guys like Le'Veon Bell and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but no one's as shifty in open space. You have Tyreek Hill who can stretch the field. Send those guys out, and underneath, who's covering them? One linebacker, a corner, maybe. You got to have your safeties deep. So, I felt cheating to pile onto the Chiefs at this point, but those are my.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, and I guess one more I would have liked to see, and this is just like Infinity Stone stuff. This isn't making a super team like we've been discussing before. This is taking a team and seeing if the greatest football minds of all time can bring them from the ashes. And I'm saying we put Peyton Manning on the Patriots, and we see if the two biggest brains in the NFL can't take that 2-5 team. And I've seen Peyton do it before. Rip off 9 straight wins, finish 11-5. They won't lose. They just won't. They'll put Cam at tight end. They're fucking fine.
When you said rising from the ashes, I get so excited. I'm like, he's gonna put him on the Jets.
I said that last night. Tell me I said that last night. I wanted to put Peyton Manning reunited with Adam Gase, but I couldn't put Mark Sanchez. I couldn't talk about the Jets in the 4 of the couple questions. Just talk about Mark Sanchez. Talk about I don't know. The Jets aren't worth that much of my time, to be honest.
It's a Jets podcast.
Yeah.
At this point, it is.
But I always wondered, I thought Tom Brady was overrated, still do. If Peyton Manning worked with Bill Belichick, would they ever lose?
No.
No. Bill is the greatest defensive mind in football. He's a fine offensive mind. Josh McDaniels is a fine offensive coordinator. It's just Peyton Manning. He's won with less. He's and that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So one that I just thought of, and I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but I feel like Michael Vick would be great on the Cardinals with Cliff Kingsbury.
He would make that team worse, in my opinion.
Really?
And I'm an Eagles.
Just at Michael Vick.
Through the
You ain't no Kyler.
Kyler at least has we talked about earlier with Lamar Jackson. Vic was just if it's my read's not there, I'm going to try to run it. Kyler actually it seems like this is his second year. I don't want to stunt that progress by just throwing in a Mike Vick mid-season and then do a Josh.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
Hey, we drafted you high, and then just you know what? This new shiny thing came along, and we're gonna play with that for a while.
Pedigree doing that. So
I'm still a little not confused, but I'm interested that the Bucks picked up Rosen and he's on the practice squad, and I'm wondering if he's able to be working with Brady and kind of can get some of that magic in 2 years.
no.
Show of hands, who
No.
thought that Rosen was going to be something in the draft? All right.
I
We're
didn't
moving
know
on
come
to the
on.
next
Or nobody?
You
I thought he
no,
was a bum.
no. Everyone. That's like when you looked at Blaine Gabbert. It's he's up. I don't know why we talked about Blaine Gabbert twice. But
His mentions.
Yeah. People are gonna look him up on IMDb or
IMDb.
see if he's done any guest roles at Hawaii Five-0 or something. He's got the look.
I don't trust Pac-10 quarterbacks. I don't trust ACC quarterbacks, as you can tell. I barely trust SEC quarterbacks. But, man, I'll take a Big 12 quarterback any day in the modern NFL. Or Big 10. I don't mind the Big 10 either.
Colt McCoy all day, baby.
I am waiting for
I
Daniel
fucking
Jones
love
to
that.
get benched. I need him. He's going to get injured before he gets benched. I'm telling you, that's coming.
Mhm.
But when
I'm surprised
Colt
that
McCoy
hasn't
starts,
happened yet.
All right.
futures now. He
And
was wrongfully benched for Brandon Whedon so many years ago by the Browns.
agreed.
Biggest average I've ever seen.
Drafting a 28-year-old player. What are you, the Eagles with Danny Watkins?
From Oklahoma State.
All right. And our last question that we have talked about many times is, would Mitch, that's that guy in the top left. Now let me read off his his career football stats through high school, college, and semi-professional?
You
That's
played
it.
high
All right.
school.
So he's never done
Okay.
anything. He's not done anything.
All right.
He thinks, I don't know, putting words in his mouth. He said it before,
You can.
that he could run for 10 yards in an NFL game if given X amount of, however many carries to get to 10 yards.
Yep.
I think his body would break before his spirit does, and he would get less than 10 yards. Unless maybe if he ran, I don't know, against the Packers' shitty defense and was going up against, if you took the best of the best offensive lines in NFL history and just put them there, then maybe he could run for 10 yards. But if he doesn't do it in the first 2 or 3 carries and he doesn't slide like he should, he will die.
So
And-
I think
Go ahead.
the way we should do this one, though, is we all speak and then we give Mitch a chance to defend himself. Because I have a feeling
100%.
That's fair.
this is I don't want to speak for Kevin, but I know my feeling on the matter.
Go ahead.
Me or Kevin?
Kev, go.
I don't know. Like,
Hmm?
I think there's so
Can I bring
much
up one stat real quick?
opportunity.
Can I bring up one stat?
Yeah, sure.
Remember week 1, Saquon Barkley against the Steelers?
No.
How many yards he had?
Well, he's a
pretty
bum.
bad.
I'm just kidding.
He had under 10 yards against, and that's Saquon Barkley.
Okay. All right.
That's Saquon Barkley.
So
That is Saquon Barkley.
okay. So
Look at his thigh.
my
Look
question,
at your pasty thigh.
Mike.
Skin tone that don't quit, baby.
My question is he like going like right now, or does he have time to prepare at all?
Repair?
How much time
Oh, we're going
do
next
you want to
weekend.
give him?
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
Next weekend.
So he kind of knows what hole,
He's gonna,
where to
he's
play
gonna
is
spend
going.
the whole week just seeing what it's like to run with all the pads and stuff like that.
You think given more chances to get hit, your body's going to be better next Sunday?
No, I mean I would just watch. I just watch film for a week. And then try to find
if
So
you're
not
just
even
watching,
gonna get a couple
if you're just
runs.
watching film,
Don't let your arguments.
He's not going to go to the gym. He's not going to work out. He's just going to
Mitch?
basically
I-
what I'm saying. What's up?
Keep going, Kevin.
Finish your
I thought you
stuff.
were done.
Basically, what I'm saying is I could see Mitch doing it, but one semi big hit and he is fucking done. So like
semi big hit. Mitch is probably like 165
They're all big
pounds.
hits. He's 160 pounds.
I'm like, okay, I'm like
they don't expect it coming
178,
from him.
180.
You're 180. Mitch, come on. Come on. No.
I just okay, so I
What's
imagine it
75?
more. I imagine it more like you know when they were having that Hall of Fame ceremony and they let like that 90-year-old dude run to get
Yeah.
a touchdown. That would be Mitch. They would do it for Mitch. They'd be
No,
like,
they
"Oh, I'm
wouldn't.
gonna
They
block
wouldn't.
this
Mitch
guy."
has special needs. If he tricked them all thinking he was disabled and they made it a Make-A-Wish moment, Mitch could get 10 yards.
All right. So can we put a little thing on this where it's like Mitch is in the backfield and and everyone knows he has to run for 10 yards, right? Like it's known because it's like, why the fuck is this guy out here?
No.
No. I'm just
So Taysom Hill style.
I'm
Taysom
That's
promoted
why to make a
practice
wish.
squad. I'm like that. What's
Okay.
it? Jonas Gray. I'm Jonas Gray.
All right. So Rob, what's your take on whether Mitch can run for 10 yards in an NFL game?
Mitchell,
Yes.
what is your greatest sporting accomplishment of your entire life?
I got to the finals in a flag football co-ed thing in college.
Co-ed, even.
Yes. I needed more people, so
Did you break your finger in that league?
that was the year before.
You broke your finger in a flag football league.
So
And
fucking a little crooked.
Mitch,
Yeah.
have you ever been a full NFL pads on?
Nope.
Never.
Nope.
A helmet. Have you put a helmet on before?
Mm-mm.
There's no fucking chance. Bro, you'd be like a toddler. You'd look like Minkus from Little Giants or whatever the kid was with the toilet paper padding on.
Mhm.
Your mother would cry. Derek is your identical twin. And he's like, no, you don't stand a fucking chance. I know your body. 0% chance.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm thinking. If I'm on a top 5 rushing team and I was facing not an elite rushing defense, there's a chance I get 10 yards. And here's how. A few quarterback sneaks.
Nope. You
What?
are not playing quarterback. You are playing
No,
running back.
it's a wildcat. What do you want?
So you're in the
You're in a shotgun. You want to take
wildcat
negative yards?
under center wildcat
Okay.
because you're not doing nothing from a shotgun
I'm
wildcat.
an under center wildcat.
That's not
That's
a
not a good
play.
thing either.
No. No, you have to play running back.
Okay, Mitch,
And I
if you're
play
playing
running
running back, you need like
Okay,
you
fine.
need an ISO. You need some
He's about
fullback
to start
helping
calling
you.
the fumble Rooski. Like, I'm a center, and they're not going to know I'm going to have the ball when I hike it.
So, okay, forget that.
Yeah, he's
I
going to need to pick up that 10 yards the first play, though, if he's a center, because he's not
think
going to be
it's
able to block
possible,
them.
and here's why. If I don't like it or if I don't see a hole, I'm going to grab the ball and just chuck it out of bounds.
Just fall to the ground.
So I will never
You
take
can't do
negative.
a forward pass if the offensive linemen are past the line of scrimmage.
Okay, but if they're past the line of scrimmage, I will run because I'm getting good blocking. If I'm going to get blown up, I'll throw the ball to the side.
That's a negative 15-yard penalty.
Yeah, but it's not
You don't think
rushing
people have
yards.
thought about this?
It's not rushing yards. It's a penalty.
So you're going to get yourself benched. You know,
I'm saying if I got the whole game,
Why wouldn't
There's
you
a
just go
chance-
down?
So you're telling me this top 5
Why don't you just give yourself up then?
is about ready
because
to
that's
give
negative
Mitch-
yards.
Yeah, he's got to pay attention to the negative yards
Yeah,
rushing.
I can't go negative.
I feel like Mitch is like really hoping that he's like on the Cowboys offense and he's facing like the beginnings of the longest yard team when they
Zeke is
didn't
struggling
have
on
a
the Cowboys
shot.
offense. Zeke is.
Because he's got what's his face under center, Danucci. Like,
Okay, that's like the same thing saying you behind center. Like you're behind. What are you gonna do?
I think you're underestimating how strong everyone in the front 7 is. Like, they don't need to tackle you. Like, literally, any of those men can grab you and halt your momentum. Like, you ain't nobody. Like, you're nobody to them.
I'm not going to try to go run standing up. I'm going to cheese it. I'm going to do some dives and then just dive through their legs or some shit.
You're going to concuss yourself immediately going head first at something.
You
I
can't
just
even.
need
You're not
10
supposed to
yards.
dive at first.
I just need 10 yards.
You're not gonna get it. But
Okay.
I guess that's.
I don't know how we can necessarily figure this out unless I
I just want to put a fucking helmet on you and see if you can get 10 yards against Mike Brenner one day. That's our tall friend.
Yeah. Well, maybe if I had blocking or something, I don't know. I could figure it out.
I don't know. Mike runs like a gazelle.
If
Yeah,
you fucked against
DK
him, and he's
Metcalf, Kevin, big time in flag football one time.
Oh
Or was it
my God.
Rob?
No, it
Oh,
was me. He was like
Kevin
all the way
caught a
down the
pass.
field and he like
DK
just
Metcalf to you big time.
glided down. Yeah, he was DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf you.
You caught it with wide open space and about 30 yards to the end zone, and you probably
Hey,
got
he's just-
10 to 15 yards.
He's just so
He was on the other side of the
fast.
field too.
I've never seen like that
Yeah.
kind of closing in real life.
That was
Totally
amazing.
different caliber.
And that's just think of another guy who's never played football before. These guys are much faster than you, Mitch. But I guess we'll agree to disagree and try to figure this out some other time. So
Saquon Barkley was a top 10 rusher last year, or top 5 probably in rushing yards.
Yep.
So we could say the Giants were a top 5 rushing team that year. And he got, as to Derek's point, he got under 10 yards against the Steelers.
Saquon Barkley is always like 13 for 26 until he breaks off a 70-yard touchdown run.
You're missing the point. You don't have that upside.
I don't have that upside. I understand that.
Saquon
even
Barkley
then-
is a physical phenomenon.
I just need good blocking.
you need elite blocking. Like
I'm not saying
You
I'm going
need
to get
their
it on
defense to
one
take a
play.
breather.
I'm saying over the course of an entire game.
Yeah, but Mitch, what
You
we're
wouldn't last
saying
an entire
is that
game. That's the
one
thing.
play
You wouldn't do it.
is going to hurt you really badly.
Mentally, okay, that first run, you're like, I got this, whatever. You get the handoff. You see Aaron Donald had already busted through that line. And you get walloped for a 3-yard loss. Your body is aching. You're trying to get up. You're wincing. Your air got knocked out of you, and now you have to run 13 yards.
If if a player falls on top of you, you're going to break a rib. You don't know how to take a tackle. Learning how to go down is such a skill. Not everyone knows how to do it well.
Saquon doesn't know how to do it.
He doesn't. No, Saquon really has no idea how to do it. That's what I was going to say. But, like, you're going to go down hard when you go down. Hard.
I have to think optimistically, but at the same time, that most likely
I don't think it's optimistically. I think it's like almost stubbornly where you're like, oh, they said I can't. I can
What's the
fucking do it.
difference?
Fuck
Kevin,
them.
we have a hand raised here with Rob, so we got to go with that.
If you have
Okay,
to
that's
put
fair.
your own equipment on, there's 0% chance. I bet you couldn't even put your equipment on by yourself to play in an NFL game, let alone rush for 10 yards.
Probably.
Yeah.
That's why you need a team.
That's why you need a team.
All right. Perfect. So we'll table this for now. We'll try to come up with some other questions for next week or some other time, and we'll see if Mitchell's confidence ever goes away. I don't think it ever will.
And if
All
any high school teams want to go line up offense, defense, I'll get 10 yards.
Maybe
That
you
is
shouldn't
not the
try to recruit young
NFL.
children.
I don't
I'm
think
just
he'd
saying,
get
like, if
10
there was
yards
a bunch of teenagers-
against high school. I don't think he'd do it. We should go talk to Albany, see if they just have him run out as a make-a-wish. We'll say he's got, I don't know, something.
Lupus, I don't know.
We'll pretend he's Andrew until the moment he gets there, and then no one will be able to question if he's like sending it hard enough.
Yep.
Mhm.
That could work.
That could work.
It's like everyone's seen radio. It works like that.
Yep. Except for radio never played.
Yeah, he tried.
You're like Forrest Gump, but not good. You're Forrest Dump. All
So
right.
you're saying I'd be like Forrest Gump. I got you.
All right.
He won 2 Heismans, I think.
Forrest Gump?
Didn't he win a Heisman?
I've never seen the movie.
What?
I hate Tom Hanks. I love Toy Story. That's the only. Is he in Toy Story?
I hate Tom Hanks too.
Okay,
Dude, what
that's
do
a
you
question
Toy Story?
for next week. How the fuck do you guys hate Tom Hanks?
All right. I guess we're gonna have to. So we're gonna probably expand this to random questions. We'll come up as a group, decide 3 questions. I decided these 3, so maybe we'll see whoever wants to decide 3 random questions. That doesn't have to be about sports. We talked a lot about NFL. We can talk about different sports as well, pop culture. We'll make it happen. All right. So say goodbye, everybody. We're peacing
Was
out.
Tom Hanks Woody
Bye.
in Toy Story?
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
was it Tim Allen? No, it's Tom Hanks.
Tom
What?
Hanks. Yes. Yeah. All right.
I was like half waving while trying to answer and think about Tim
Yeah.
Allen.
Fuck it. We don't know. All right. See you, everybody.
All
All right, see you.
Peace.